It's time to build another gaming PC, and you know what it's also time for? A fresh build for myself. I have been incrementally upgrading my old PC over the years, but I want to start with something brand new that is relatively modern, and that is why I've chosen an Intel Core Ultra 7 265K. I honestly don't know too much about this CPU. I don't even know how many cores it has. It doesn't even say on the box. Here, I'll throw it up on screen for you. There you go. So this CPU notably isn't the most expensive in Intel's latest lineup, and that's because, well, I don't need the most expensive. There seems to be this trend where tech YouTubers always build with the latest and greatest and most powerful, but I don't really need that. And because I purchased this out of pocket, of course, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. This should serve me just fine, especially in my content creation suites like Adobe Creative Cloud. The 265K does have an integrated processor, which is important for many of those programs, and it's also going to be a great gaming powerhouse. I intend to pair it with an iGame Ultra B860M. This MATX motherboard has a beautiful white aesthetic. The actual circuit board is white, which is going to blend nicely with our white case. I'll discuss that in a second. You might be wondering why I chose a B series chipset for a K series CPU. The reason is because I don't overclock. I don't really care to. I don't think it's worth spending the extra money for a Z series board if you're not planning to overclock. This already has tons of features, more than I'll ever need. It's just a personal preference. I know it doesn't make any sense on paper. I'm not going to attempt to justify that any further. I just don't think that the benefits of overclocking outweigh the potential instability, risk, and heat associated with said overclocks, and that especially goes for graphics cards. I don't think I've overclocked anything in several years. It's just, I don't really care. As for cooling, I've gone with a lovely Scythe Mugen 6. Now, I've used the Mugen 5 for quite a while, actually. I think I still have a rig with a Mugen 5 running in it, and the 6, of course, is the next iteration. I love Scythe products. They are a bit more expensive than, say, a Thermalright counterpart, but these are made very, very well, and they also run quite quiet. But speaking of Thermalright, I didn't completely ignore them. They do have some of the best value cooling products in the business today, and I have chosen a 5-pack of fans that cost me, I think, in the realm of like 20 or 30 bucks. An incredible value. These are also RGB capable, and our case, which is from ASUS and is completely whited out, doesn't have any fans. That's why this was considerably cheaper than some other options that it would compete with normally. It doesn't have any fans. You're not paying for those fans, and so that gives you a bit of freedom to choose what you want. As for the graphics card, we're opting for the latest from NVIDIA, but not the most powerful. Again, I don't need the most powerful. It's an RTX 5070 from Colorful. It looks beautiful. It is not white. That's an important distinction to make before I open this box. I don't want you to be shocked when you see it. Greg, why didn't you buy a white graphics card? Personally, I didn't buy this, and I don't think I would if it was my own money. I did buy the CPU and a couple other things, but this, notably, I did not buy. This was sent by Colorful. They wanted to show it off in a build. That's exactly what we're doing here. If you want to learn more about it or any of the other products on this table, be sure to check out the video description. Rounding things out, we've got a 4 terabyte NVMe. Now, this is going to accompany my Steam library on a separate 2 terabyte drive. I don't have that currently on hand to show you because it's running in my old editing rig, but this additional NVMe is actually going to be where we install Windows. I have so much footage to sift through all the time, and the extra storage space will be welcome. Lastly, our power supply, a Be Quiet Dark Power 13. This is only a 750 watt unit, but it is 80 plus titanium rated, and I've got to say, 750 watts will get you so far in the PC space. No, you don't need 1,000 plus watts anytime you have a 50 series NVIDIA card in your rig. That's just, it's overkill. If you want to have it just for the, let's say, breathability, if you want to expand later on, put in a higher end graphics card down the line and not have to worry about your power supply wattage requirements, then sure, go with an 850, 1,000, 1,200 watt unit. 750 watts will be plenty for this, especially considering we aren't doing any hardcore overclocking, and these units from Be Quiet run extremely quiet, as you might expect. With builds like these, you never really know how they're gonna look until everything is assembled. It's kind of like opening a present very slowly on Christmas. I'm actually very excited to see how this one looks when it's all said and done. MATX is the sweet spot in my opinion. With that, let's get ready to build. I hope you will stay with me.
Are you sitting on a gaming PC without an activated copy of Windows? Forget $100+ retail keys. Instead, snag an OEM Windows 10 or 11 key for a fraction of the price to unlock the full potential of the OS. Oh, and don't worry, they'll still remove those pesky activation watermarks. Click the links below to get started today and easily activate with your key under the Activation tab within Windows settings. And be sure to use our special offer code SKGS for a sweet discount on a variety of options, including Windows 10 and 11, Pro and Home, and more.
Let's start out by unboxing this beautiful motherboard, shall we? Now, I've already peeked inside, so we don't have the anti-static bag or anything to worry about, but I think you will love the way this looks. Also, kind of unexpected that a company like iGame, which traditionally makes graphics cards, would also make motherboards. I guess I'm just out of the loop. I wasn't aware that these were even a thing. but check out how beautiful this is. Now this does have many silver accents, and I'll admit the whiteboard isn't really white. It's a bit more on the cream side, but it's very, very close to the color of the case. Gonna look much better, in my opinion, than a blackboard. And of course, what would a motherboard be without cheesy text? Also bear in mind that even though this utilizes the LGA 1851 socket, it should still be compatible with any LGA 1700 CPU cooler, which is why we've chosen the Mugen 6. Throw this back down, throw down the retention arm, pop goes the plastic cover. Also just realized I forgot to mention RAM earlier. We're gonna go with a set of Corsair Dominator Titanium DDR5 DIMMs. These are 32 gigs apiece for 64 in total. Again, perfect for content creation. Although some would argue that even 128 gigs is preferred. I don't think I need that much. Pop goes clips for 2 and 4. We'll start to see a small discrepancy in white products at this point. I would say the Dominator Titanium DIMMs are closer to true white than the motherboard, but still, I'll take this again over mismatched black and white any day of the week. I will say, given what I do again, it's gonna be so nice having a 4 terabyte boot drive instead of 2 terabytes. Easy does it, and should be toolless retention as well. Yep, there we go. And this chunky heat slab's going right back on, of course this time with the thermal pad plastic removed. Now if you're wondering why I've opted for an air cooler in place of an AIO, you might expect a 360mm AIO for a setup like this. It's because over the years I have learned to appreciate the peace of mind that air cooling brings, and this being again my personal rig, I could really use some of that. A bit of thermal paste later, and we've got ourselves a healthy cooler install. I also love that Scythe gives us plenty of room for beefier RAM. You can see we've got plenty of space for a 120mm fan in between the cooler and our DIMMs. Not a bad looking setup if I do say so myself. Fingerprints aside, you can start to see now the black and white color scheme. It's sort of working its way out. I know that it's not everyone's cup of tea, and while I do think it would be nice to have a white CPU cooler, it's definitely not gonna look good next to a black graphics card. So the fact that we're gonna have 2 larger components black in here to offset the white background, I think will look nice. In she goes then, integrated rear IO shield, so no need to worry. And would you look at that, cutting it close on clearance with about 2 centimeters to spare. This Asus Case A21, I have to admit, is impressing me despite its lack of a Type-C connector. Everything else front panel wise was very easy to connect, especially because of this unified front panel connector. There's also a ton of hardware support baked into here. I need an extra 3 fans to make this build look somewhat filled up because of the empty space lingering, so I went ahead and threw in 3 extra white PureWings 3 fans. They look really good with this chassis. I threw 3 of the Thermalright fans up top because these again are RGB compatible, so it's gonna help illuminate the rest of the build below. And to round things out, cable management is a breeze. There are so many zip tie points in so many smart places in this case. You can tell Asus really took their time working on the ergonomics of this chassis. And if you're curious, here's how it looks so far. Very clean, again, loving the white motherboard. The contrast is working for me. I thought about throwing some black fans up front just to help balance the black and white a bit more, but I think once we throw the black graphics card into the mix, maybe some black custom sleeve cable extensions, we'll have a well-rounded black and white rig, kind of like black and white rig, sort of like a Stormtrooper style build. I've always liked white chassis, white motherboards, so I think this fits for my personal taste, although again, I know it's not for everyone. Next thing to do is install the power supply, the Dark Power 13, and then we can move on to the final goodie, our colorful RTX 5070. You can see this red accent running all the way down the length of the card next to the Battle NX logo. We do have some white lettering here, GeForce RTX. That'll help sort of kind of tie in the white scheme, and of course we have more of it up top with additional red accents. And you can see our 12-volt high power connector there. That's the orientation in case you are wondering. 3-fan card, actually not very large. Then again, this isn't the highest end graphics card you could buy from Team Green today. In fact, the size of this card will aid in our ability to add a capture card below. Again, this motherboard has 1 additional PCIe slot, perfect for that 4K capture card. We'll just get it tightened down. And yet another thing I love that Colorful clearly accounted for was graphics card sag. So this is simply screwed in at the rear, and that is all. Of course, PCIe slot as well, but no brackets, no anti-sag kit or anything working its magic here. Everything is nice and horizontal. You know what? I want to try something. How about to complement this stronger red accent, we throw in some slightly red cable extensions. The red here is a bit darker because it's mixed with black in and out. You can see on a majority of these cables, but I think this is gonna look better than straight black. So let's see, here is the before, and here is the updated red kit. In my opinion, this looks better. It's not an exact match, but remember, when the system is on, it's gonna be a bit darker in here. We'll have the illuminated fans, and that's about it.
A lot of boring math later.
You know, I've had a couple of days to think on this. I'm not totally sold on this aesthetic. The thing that's really throwing me off here, if I'm being honest, is the graphics card. I didn't expect the card that Colorful sent with their white motherboard to be black and red. The black, okay, I can maybe work with black if there's some white accents like the lettering, but a very large red, just sort of like cover on this shroud. It's not, look, it's not terrible. I'm not saying that it looks bad, but it does look odd, and this is my personal rig. Remember, this is gonna be the system that I have to stare at all day, every day while I'm editing and doing everything else gaming. I am gonna make some changes, and the first one is in the cabling. So, in my opinion, this already looks a lot better. The white sort of bleeds into the darker components, and I feel like it just overall makes more sense as what would normally be a black and white build with some subtle red accents. We could make the white fans set to red LEDs, and that would complement the red in the graphics card. But again, with the system powered on like you're seeing here, I mean, it looks kind of cool, but it's still not working for me. I think maybe the CPU cooler just being this large, just all black component surrounded by basically white everywhere else, it's kind of an eyesore. I love these Scythe coolers, but I probably could have done better with the color choice. So you know what? We're gonna make a change. Make that 2 changes, actually. And the first one, of course, is going to be the CPU cooler. I've gone instead with an up here dual tower cooler with 8 copper heat pipes. These, of course, are going to be fully whited out. They use like a white ceramic coating. That's the standard nowadays for CPU coolers that are not just a bare aluminum and copper. And I think it's gonna look so much better in this otherwise white system. And the second is actually the graphics card. As much as I like the 5070 from iGame, it's just not working for this intended color scheme, so we'll save it for a later build. This graphics card, however, also from iGame, is I think gonna make much more sense, especially given the fact that we have a slight gold accent in our DDR5. I am certain someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the Year of the Dragon edition of a 4070. This thing is firstly a chonker. It's one of the biggest 4070 Ti's you can buy, but it also looks fantastic. And you see what I mean about the gold accents, right? I mean, look at it. It's littered throughout the back plate of this card, along the side. Actually, do we have any gold? Nope, no gold accents on the side. Okay, but we do have some gold accents on the underside of the shroud as well, around the fans. And this is just a sexy card, probably one of the best looking that Colorful has ever made, and I'm super happy that I have this in my inventory to use for this white build. Just gonna make a few quick swaps. These CPU coolers are always a bit time consuming to remove and reinstall. Oh yeah, I can already tell you this is gonna look so much better. Oh man, that is sexy if I've ever seen it. And last, but certainly not least, our beefy 4070 Ti. I guess on paper, a bit of a downgrade. I mean, the 5070 is not a huge leap over a 4070 Ti, but the aesthetics on this card are just too good to ignore. My, oh my, this is what this build should have been from the beginning. If I had properly allocated components for this build, this is what it would have looked like. I'm so much happier with this, and I love the subtle gold accents. Chef's kiss. And of course, we gotta do the obligatory peel. A bit cringe sounding, but I'll tell you, that was satisfying to do. I've gotta say, the color syncing here looks really good. Of course, the white LEDs aren't a true white. They're actually a combination of red, green, and blue, hence RGB. There's no WLED in these fans, but it still looks good reflecting off of the now all white build. And I've included a subtle hint of gold in the graphics card LED to set off the gold accents in both the RAM and the top of the card. Now, if you're curious about performance, I've run several 3D Mark TimeSpy benchmarks. This is a DX12 1440p synthetic, and we're scoring better than 91% of all submitted results. Again, that's only with an RTX 4070 Ti and an Ultra Core 7, not a Core 9. Core 7, it sounds weird saying Core 7, Core 9. Usually it's i7 and i9. We're changing names again for some reason, but this is not the highest end Intel CPU. that they currently offer, and it is still kicking butt. In fact, in most games, you wouldn't even be able to tell the difference between the Core 7 and the Core 9 variants because most games aren't going to fully saturate the number of threads that the Core 7 offers to begin with. So adding the extras, sure, might help with some multitasking workloads. If you're going to say stream and encode with x264, the Core 9 will help. But for sheer gaming alone, the Core 7 is all you'll need. It's certainly all I need, and I have 4K monitors at my disposal. And when it comes to video editing, which I also do quite a bit of, the Core 7 is a fantastic processor for the money. Now, it's no Core 9, but again, I don't feel like spending Core 9 prices for a Core 9 experience. It's only going to be maybe 5-10% marginal at best, probably unnoticeable, if I'm being honest, of a smoothness increase or a speed increase just from the sheer core count or clock speed alone. The Adobe suite tends to leverage CUDA acceleration, in particular with NVIDIA cards, way more than it does anything the CPU has to offer. The integrated graphics processor does help for things like warp stabilization, timeline scrubbing, and a few other things, but the 4070 Ti Super is bearing a majority of the editing workload, which is again another reason why I didn't feel like spending the extra money for the Core 9. You don't always have to have the most expensive offering. I can now render competent, fully stacked 4K 30 timelines that are 20 minutes long in just over 6 minutes. The fastest I've ever been able to do that. It means I don't have to just get up and walk away from my PC and touch grass for a while. It's literally, I mean, it's a bathroom break. It's like going down to the kitchen and grabbing a snack and coming back upstairs. The rendering is done. I can start uploading to YouTube. And with my horrible upload speeds, thanks to Spectrum, that's the part that takes a lot longer. But at least I can multitask and do other things on my PC while that's happening, since it's not leveraging, you know, the heavy-duty hardware in here. For those who are new around these parts, white PC builds were a staple on our channel around 2018, 2019, so much earlier in this channel's life. And I think at one point we were building more white PCs than we were black ones, which was difficult to do, especially back then, because there weren't many white components offered. And even nowadays, I mean, you kind of got to stretch to build an all-white system like this. The graphics card, for example, from Colorful, one of the most impressive, aesthetically pleasing graphics cards I've seen from any manufacturer. Problem is, it's much more expensive than MSRP, so probably not one that's going to be in your crosshairs. There are a few other white graphics cards in and around this performance category, so to speak, that you could be looking at, particularly from AMD, but this one worked out great because of the gold accents that are complemented by our Corsair DDR5. Another challenge with all-white PCs is getting every white component to match. There are so many different shades of white in the industry. Manufacturers will tell you it's difficult to get one factory white to match another factory's white. And so what you end up with oftentimes is like an eggshell product mixed with like a cool white product. You put them together, and it doesn't look good. It just doesn't. And I don't think it's worth spending extra money for white variants if that's going to be the case. I definitely rolled the dice here with this one, and it somehow works great. I don't think there's a single variance to any of the white products in here, maybe slightly in the Be Quiet Pure Wings 3 white fans, but the case, the cooler, the graphics card, the biggest, most prominent parts of this build all play together so nicely. Toss in a $30 kit of white cable extensions and call it a day. I've said this before, but if you want to build this exact system, I'll have all these parts, including the black components as well, the Scythe Mugen 6 and the iGame RTX 5070, linked in the video description. If you like the way this looks, let me know in the comment section below. If you don't, let me know in the comment section below, and we can duke it out down there. Again, I appreciate your viewership. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to stick around for the next one. My name is Greg. Thanks for learning with me.